Well, good morning to you. Are you serious? Good morning, everybody. Well, I've got incredible news to bring out here. You're never going to hear this anywhere. I don't care anywhere. I want to thank Agent 2020 for getting this information to me this morning. I need to turn that little light on right there, but how do you turn that on? I don't know what I'm doing. Figures. I want to thank Agent 2020 for getting this information to me this morning. Very, very serious breaking news. Also, Heidi doing some great follow up research on this. Another dead billionaire. This is the second major billionaire to die in helicopter crashes in the last 21 days, in the last 3 weeks. Let me tell you all about it in just a second. NobleGoldInvestment.com, www.noblegoldinvestment.com. Guys, seriously, this is a crazy world. Everything is up for grabs. And of course, with the fluctuation in the stock market and with the craziness between nations now and the droughts and the plagues and the extreme weather conditions and the wars and rumors of wars and the currencies that are crashing and the debt that is rising, the stock market is volatile. If you have a 401k that's mostly tied up in the stock market, guys, it could fall in a heartbeat. I'm serious. So consider transferring some of that, diversifying some of that into a gold IRA. And you can do that at noblegoldinvestment.com. That's www.noblegoldinvestment.com. Colin Plume, great guy, Christian company, can help you with this. Pick up the phone and call him this morning at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. And tell him Pastor Begley sent you over there, okay? Yeah, here's the deal, guys. This is really, really crazy. But let me give you the breaking news. This morning, the Czech Republic billionaire Peter Kellner is dead. His helicopter crashing in Alaska. There were 5 people killed in the helicopter, including billionaire Peter Kellner. Now, Kellner was worth $17.8 billion, and he was the richest man in the Czech Republic. He was the 68th richest man in the world. And you say, okay, it could happen. He's a billionaire. He's out skiing in Alaska. He's in a helicopter going out to a place to go skiing, and the helicopter crashes. All right. This could happen. True, it could happen. But does it happen to a second billionaire just 3 weeks to the day after the last billionaire died? The last billionaire being French billionaire Oliver Dassault, who was the 9th richest man in the world, a French politician, and one of the world's richest people, whose helicopter crashed in Normandy. He was 69 years old, and his private helicopter took off and crashed in Normandy. Now, here's you say, okay, that was 3 weeks ago. He was the number 9 richest guy in the world. He dies of a helicopter crash. 3 weeks later, the number 68 richest man in the world dies of a helicopter crash. So what do we do? Okay, it's just a coincidence, Paul. Is it? Let's take a look let's go deeper. First of all, the French billionaire politician Oliver Dassault was a leading politician on the conservative side of the aisle in France. He was well known for his conservative views and constantly stood up against the those that were what he felt were trying to destroy the nation of France. He was against all that migration. He was against the high taxation. He was against some of these other regulations and bureaucratic attempts. And he was against the Paris climate accord. He was against a lot of these things. He was a strong conservative, and he died in a helicopter crash of his own helicopter. Now, that's okay. That just happens, right? I mean, it just happens. Well, okay, but what about this morning? Czech Republic, Peter Kellner, the richest guy in Czech Republic, actually the richest guy in about 4 or 5 nations in that little area there. Who is Peter Kellner? Well, he was the 68th richest man in the world. He was worth about $17.8 billion. But who is Peter Kellner, and why did his private helicopter crash? Well, first of all, he was an entrepreneur. He was quite successful in everything. He owned banks. He owned insurance companies. He was very successful in several different ventures to help with the infrastructure of his country. But the biggest deal, I think, of all of it was he just bought the television, most of the television stations, the biggest television stations in not only the Czech Republic, but in that covered the area of the Czech Republic, Ukraine, part of Russia, Hungary, that whole area there. Okay. And the most popular television network, he bought it all. And he's a conservative. And he's known as his station's known as the Fox News of Europe. And it was the most powerful, his stations are the most powerful conservative voice in all of Europe. Very, very strange that two of the richest men in the world, both prominent European conservatives, both billionaires and highly successful and loved by many people, would both die in, oh, by the way, the exact same model helicopter, an Airbus AS350B3. That's the helicopter that Peter Kellner owned and died in. And it's also the exact Airbus that Oliver Dassault owned, an Airbus AS350. So they both had the exact same helicopter, privately owned them. And see, nobody has this. Now, Agent 2020 let us know that this Czech billionaire died. And he just found that very, very, very interesting. And he didn't know they were conservatives. He didn't know that. He knew this happened this morning. He got that information to me right away. He knew this was strange. How do two billionaires that are in the top, the top 100 richest men in the world both have a helicopter crash 3 weeks apart in their own planes, and they both die? You know how hard, I mean, do you understand billionaires have the greatest maintenance people, security people? I mean, come on, guys. Their helicopters don't crash, okay? They have the best. How does this happen? And then Heidi digs deeper. She digs deeper, and she finds that they're both leading conservatives. With Oliver Dassault being the leading politician, the leading conservative politician in all of France, and the 9th richest man in the world. And then she figures out that Peter Kellner is the 68th richest man in the world, the richest man in his country, and within 4 or 5 countries, and owns the largest, most popular network in Europe, and it is a conservative network, much like they were called it the Fox News of Europe. He dies also 3 weeks later of a helicopter crash. I dig a little deeper and found out that both men's helicopters were identical. The Airbus Um, 350. Coincidence? Just interesting. I just think it's really strange. But once again, guys, do you remember back when I was, and this was 6 or 7 years ago, and God led me to keep an eye on these bankers, and we lost like 117 bankers that jumped out of buildings, supposedly committed suicide, all kinds of weird. Some were murdered, but most of them, it was ruled suicides. They were hit and run. They were run over on the road on bicycles. I mean, it was unbelievable. And we did some research to find out why were these bankers dying. Well, most of them were involved. They were lower level. Some of them were CEOs. Some of them were top CNOs, but they were involved in the mergers, the S&L crisis, and the crisis that hit back in 2008, and and the TARP, the big TARP funds, the money that was sent to bail out the banks. These were some of the top executives of these banks that benefited from it. A bunch of them just kept dying, tied to these same banks. Coincidence? Then we discovered there was about 100 doctors that started dying, all of them natural health, all of them from the, for natural healing type doctors, holistic medicine doctors. They all started dying. Now we have big time billionaire conservatives, 2 of them, both dying in helicopter crashes, same helicopter model. You say, well, there might be something wrong with the model. Seriously. Guys, give your life to Jesus Christ. We're in a world where I'm just going to say, everything seems to be trying to stop the movement of the truth, the movement of the gospel, certainly of Jesus Christ. And isn't this very, very strange? Some of you might want to dig a little deeper into what's actually happening out there. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a question. What are the odds? 2 billionaires, same helicopters, both conservatives, leaders out of Europe, dying on the same kind of helicopters, 21 days apart. Just a question. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Are you serious? This is an are you serious moment. Are you serious? Well, it just happened. Are you serious? 2 billionaires, same helicopters, both leading conservatives, one a politician, the other one the leading media voice of Europe. Both die 21 days apart. One's the 9th richest man, the other's the 68th richest man in the world. Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? What? Are you serious?